Well, the day has arrived. UFC 287 about to go off in the Casaya Center here in Miami, Florida. It is UFC 287, the rematch, the three-match, the rubber match. It's the fourth time they fought, the second time in MMA. It's Pereira versus Adesanya 2, and we're live here on Extra Rounds from UFC Fight Pass. Hey, everybody, I'm TJ Santis along with Hannah Goldy. Kind of you to join us here as we have arrived, Hannah. Officially fight day. It is upon us in a fantastic city, and we're just minutes away from the prelims kicking off on UFC Fight Pass. And as I mentioned, it leads up to this massive card. We've got a pretty fun one where Alex Pereira looks to prove that his win, or I guess wins, multiple at this point, over Israel Adesanya are no fluke. Tonight, he comes in as the defending champion. But we were talking a little bit about this yesterday. The idea that he's the champion, you wouldn't be able to tell that by the betting line. Still, a lot of people are like putting money on Izzy. He is the favorite. Pereira, going out there to try to prove that what he did back in November was no fluke and that he's the best in the world at 185.
Yeah, I was talking about this a lot today, honestly, and somebody asked me, like, who do you want to lose tonight? And I was like, oh, well, that's an aggressive question. I don't know if I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say it that way. It was interesting.
Like, who do you want to win? Sure, but who do you want to lose? Like, who do you want to see face their demise tonight?
I know, and I was like, if anybody knows me, I am like I'm the worst shit talker ever. So it's not that I want anybody to lose, but if I want to see anybody win, it is Alex, right? Like, he's beat Adesanya 3 times, and now we're asking him to do it a 4th time, and I really just hope that tonight he can, solidify some fan support. That's really what I want to see for him, honestly, because I feel like he deserves the respect of the fans.
I think any athlete that goes in there and puts their life on the line for our entertainment in the octagon deserves respect. But,
absolutely.
You would think that a champion would even get more respect for conquering the proverbial mountain. This man stands alone as the best 185-pounder in the world. And one thing that I wonder if maybe that respect isn't there, Hannah, because he's relatively new to the UFC still. Just 8 fights into his career and already stands at the top of the mountain.
Absolutely. And, going against somebody like Adesanya, who clearly is a fan favorite, right? It's tough, but I really hope tonight that, again, like, as a spectator, as a fan, I think nobody is going to lose, but I really hope that Pierre can, gain that respect from the fans tonight.
I'm looking at Pereira's bio here, and I think, that really is what it comes down to, is the fact that he's still this new kid on the block. 8 fights into his UFC and MMA career, but look at what he's done. An 86% finishing rate. His debut came just a little over a year and some change, and now he enters his first title defense.
That stat alone is crazy, right? His debut was in 2021, and he is now the champ,
right?
Beating Adesanya twice.
And he won the championship last year, so he did it really in a year's time. Like, there are some athletes that have come in through the UFC that have fought for a title and earned it, in their first or second UFC fight. But in the modern era, I don't think that's going to be done again anytime soon.
In that weight class?
Yeah,
it's tough.
seriously.
That's a tough weight class.
Absolutely. And, it's tough because the man that's standing in front of him is Israel Adesanya, who, on paper was already starting to make a claim to maybe be one of the best middleweights we've ever seen. Obviously, he came up short to Pereira back in November. But, I'm curious what we're going to see from Adesanya in this fight because, while he's walking in with a point to prove, which he also had last November. He had lost to Pereira in the past, but this time it's a little more, I think, personal for him because the man took something from him. He took his belt away, and he wants to get it back. And it's been very competitive. These guys have been on edge this week. But the way that Adesanya sort of treated things, I think he's been respectful, but he's also really made no bones about sort of his accusations, and it's kind of come at the champion pretty hard. There's a lot of talk about IVs and how much Pereira puts on weight after the weigh-ins. I don't really know what Adesanya is trying to do by bringing up the size difference, but he clearly is alluding to something. What are your thoughts on that?
To be fair, like, they both made weight, right? Like, he makes weight, we all get tested. We get tested specifically for, making sure that we are not doing IVs. I'm pretty sure that recently they may have changed, USADA may have changed the guidelines into which IVs are allowed, but he's making weight, he's not popping for anything illegal, so I think that it's fair game. I think that going into this, like, Alex has won these fights fair and square, and I think that Adesanya getting this three-peat in itself is we're here, and they're going to fight, and we're going to find out.
Well, what's interesting to me is like what the sort of fan perception is on Adesanya bringing it up, because I saw some fans saying, oh, look, he's already making excuses, or, you know, this and that and the other thing. I don't think he's saying that to make excuses. I think that maybe that's part of his mental game that he's trying to play. Do you feel that Adesanya is throwing those barbs to maybe get Pereira a little bit uncomfortable or unhappy?
I mean, I think, you know, maybe he's doing what he has to do to get himself in the right mental headspace, right? You know, like, but at the end of the day, when the cage door closes, it's just them two in there,
right?
And there's no more talking, there's no more excuses. We're going to fight about it, and, you know, we're going to find out. Yeah, we are scheduled 5-minute rounds for the UFC Undisputed Middleweight Championship of the World. It's a fight that we've seen play out in multiple sports, already in kickboxing and MMA. This is the second go-around inside the UFC's octagon. We've seen Adesanya have success and hurt Pereira multiple times, but he wasn't able to put him away, and that's ultimately what led to his demise in the last fight, being stopped in the 5th round. What do you expect from Izzy tonight from the game plan? Do you expect him to come out hard in the first round? Does he come out to try to set a pace and then try to put him away later? What do you expect from the last stylebender? You know, I do think that he's definitely going to have to establish that respect from Pereira, right? You know, I mean, Izzy knows that he has the ability to hurt Pereira, and I think that we could potentially see, you know, a lot of aggression in the first couple rounds. But, you know, I'm going with Alex on this one. That's your pick? Yeah, that is my pick. I don't hate the pick. I do think, though, we're going to see the best Israel Adesanya we can. I mean, this guy has only lost twice in mixed martial arts, you know, one being the last fight to Alex. It was the first time he's been stopped in mixed martial arts. The other loss was to Jan Blachowicz in another title fight when he went up to 205 pounds. You know, looking at Adesanya, I understand where your head is at in this fight. I think that Alex has all the tools to beat him. We've already seen that. We've seen Izzy be competitive. I like Adesanya in the fight, but I don't know if he's going to do it. I really don't. Like, I feel like we're going to be in that similar situation where both these guys are going to test each other. There's going to be, you know, hell to get through on both sides, and that's the sort of X factor. We've seen Pereira get through it. We haven't seen Izzy get through it yet, and that's why I kind of lean with Alex. And we were talking about the mental edge yesterday. You know, I do feel like there's something to be said about Israel going into this fight, and, you know, Alex has beat him, you know, 4 times, right? So, you know, there's as confident as you can say you are, and, you know, as much shit as you can talk before the fight. Yeah. That's always got to be in the back of your mind, right? Like, this man has beat you 4 times. Yeah. So going into that, and I also, like I said, going back to yesterday, I was saying that I really do think we're going to see a more complete version of Alex tonight. I think that he has really been working on his grappling and his wrestling, and I think that, you know, we may have to see that showcase tonight. Yeah, that's what I liked about your breakdown of it yesterday. You were talking about the underrated wrestling game of Alex, and, you know, I will be curious to see if that does come into play here, but if it has to, right? Yeah, I mean obviously we don't really want to see it, but you know, I mean, I kind of like the idea of seeing his wrestling game, you know, being something that would put him through, because I mean, it's mixed martial arts at the end of the day. There's nothing more exciting than seeing a striker come into MMA and showcasing that he has really evolved into a complete martial artist. Yeah, no, 100%. You know, I'm sitting here like, if we talked about this fight for another 20 minutes, I probably would flip-flop back and forth constantly, because I think that both of these guys have the skills necessary to win. And, you know, it sort of brings me back to the talking point that we had yesterday, that Alex Pereira, the defending champion, is the slight underdog. Let's take a look at the odds, courtesy of our friends over at DraftKings. Plus 115 is the comeback on the underdog champion, Alex Pereira. The favorite is the last stylebender, Israel Adesanya, at minus 135. And, you know, I think that we're seeing the odds sort of reflect that back and forth type of scenario where people really can't make up their minds. And, you know, it's rare to see someone that has had, you know, 3 wins over someone be the underdog in the 4th meeting. It's also rare to see a champion come in as the underdog, but that's where we're at. And, you know, I just feel like we haven't seen enough of Alex yet, right? I feel like the MMA fans have not seen enough of him yet. They're not, you know, they don't know enough about him, and everybody is still so stuck on Israel, right? That, you know, being that, like, the fans love him, right? Yeah. You know, so it's hard to go against somebody that we just, you know, we love love to see him fight. He's so exciting, like, obviously, as well. So it's tough. It's tough. It's tough for the fans.
No, 100%.
It's a tough one to pick, for sure.
The betting public not letting their fandom interfere in their picks against Gilbert Burns and Jorge Masvidal. Gilbert Burns, the out-of-towner, if you will, taking on the Miami native in Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. Burns a huge favorite, minus 450 on the Brazilian. The comeback on Gamebred at plus 360. And for good reason. By the way, if you want to go ahead and bet on tonight's proceedings, you can do so over at DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook is the official sports betting partner of the UFC. New customers can bet $5 and win $150 in bonus bets if your fighter wins. Download the app and use the code Fight Pass to get in on the action today. Now, with that in mind, I'm talking about this co-main event where Gilbert Burns is definitely a huge favorite to Jorge Masvidal. But, I mean, I talked about the fans being the X factor here, and if this is a very close fight, I could see the fans maybe willing Masvidal to a win. And what I mean by that is if we have close rounds where both fighters have a lot of offense, but the fans are all only cheering one way, being that for Masvidal, you might see those judges tend to put the 10 next to Masvidal rather than Burns' name. And, I mean, I hate to say this, but I mean, we're going to need everything for Masvidal stylistically to go right in this fight. It's just a very tough matchup for him. If
it stays on the feet, yes. But, you know, the more that I thought about this fight last night, I was really just envisioning Gilbert getting this to the mat and kind of just like establishing some control on the mat and, you know, doing damage there. But again, we are going to find out. Also, I was excited to talk about this fight because when I opened my Instagram this morning, I saw that. And I know you know what I'm about to say.
Yes.
Jorge was in another altercation.
Yes.
What happened?
Well, I mean, so again, I think the common theme here is Kevin Holland.
Oh,
you know,
goodness.
He seems to be
troublemaker. What is wrong with him?
Some people like to stir the pot.
They do.
Yeah, and it's like a whirlpool when Kevin Holland's around. Just the pot gets stirred.
Louise, Kevin Holland, what are you doing?
I mean, he's got a fight to worry about himself tonight as well. But it almost seems like Masvidal and Holland are already thinking about their potential meeting down the road. And you know, we're already talking about Masvidal possibly being done tonight if it doesn't go his way. But I mean, it's going to be hard not to have people want to see this eventual showdown.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it'll just be in the street outside.
I hope not. I hope not. So.
I mean, I'm not going to say I wouldn't throw some money down to see it.
Hey, I mean, you know, Jorge got to start here in the Boatyards, so.
The king of Miami.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, maybe the prince because you're the king.
I mean, I don't even if I'm not Miami royalty yet. I'm like.
We're working up to it.
I'll be an ambassador maybe.
Shot at a time.
Okay, we'll work on it. Let's talk a little bit more about Gilbert Burns here, because one thing that you mentioned that I do think is really spot on is the ground control. If he gets this fight to the floor, I mean, it's going to be a really uphill battle for Masvidal.
I agree.
Looking at Jorge, you know, he was taken down a lot by Colby Covington, had his back taken, and was able to survive. I don't know too many people that can be in that precarious of a position with Gilbert Burns and really make it to the final bell.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that would really be a tough position for Jorge to be in. I mean, you know, in the beginning of the fight, maybe in, you know, the first round, but as it gets to the later rounds, I think as, you know, the fight kind of wears on them, if Gilbert can get him down and really establish dominant position, I think that might be trouble for Jorge.
So if you're Masvidal, you got to try to keep this fight, you know, on the feet, or at least stop Burns before it gets to the floor. How does he bait Gilbert into a firefight that might not necessarily benefit him?
I mean, I think he really just needs to take Gilbert out of that, like, mental engagement, you know? Like, I think that's what we were talking about yesterday. I think Gilbert obviously is so experienced. He's fought the best guys in the world, and I really think that obviously he is going into this fight very mentally locked in. So I think it's going to be tough to drag him out of, you know, that being mentally locked in. But as you were saying, the crowd, it's tough. It's tough going in there as a fighter. It's tough going in there against the hometown guy where the crowd is screaming and booing you. And, you know, we're going to see if he can get sucked into that dogfight, because, you know, if he's not slinging and, you know, they're not banging as much as the crowd wants and they start booing, that's like, for me, that's when it's like, I'm like, man, they're booing me. Like, now I want to throw hard. Now I want to do something entertaining, right? So it's easy to get sucked out sometimes. But I think if Gilbert can, you know, just stay locked in and really stick to the game plan, and, you know, I'm not his coach. I don't know what his game plan is, but to me, that seems like the path of least resistance, right? To get him to the ground, to establish dominant position, and really do some work on the ground. Yeah,
you know, I look at this fight too, and I see so many scenarios coming out of this for Jorge Masvidal. If he loses, maybe he doesn't fight again. If he wins, he might find himself in a title fight against Leon Edwards.
Right. There's a lot of pressure for him, though, you know, and like, though it is his hometown, and everybody says, you know, like, you're fighting in your hometown, that's great, it's awesome to have the crowd behind you, but that also brings along with it a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure to perform. And it's tough to stay mentally locked in, right, when you feel like you have an entire city riding on your shoulders. You know, they're all wanting him to succeed, and that's tough too.
Yeah, you know, that's one thing that I thought was interesting at first when I saw that Masvidal was at the Fighter Hotel. I was like, he lives here. Why isn't he just staying at home? But then you bring up a really great point. You know, there's extra added pressure when you're fighting at home. Maybe being at home is the last place he really needs to be leading up to a fight, you know?
You know, I feel like as a fighter, I go both ways. Like, obviously, it's awesome to have the support, but at the same time, right, it's like everybody's there. Everybody is, like, you know, expecting you to win, right? People that, like, it's not even just friends and family. It's just people in Miami. They're like, oh, Jorge's the best. Like, he's going to win. He's going to kick his ass. Like, whatever. So it's just like you have all this pressure riding on your shoulders, and, you know, you're about to go in and fight one of the best guys in the world. So it's tough. It's tough. I think that we are just in for a treat, right? I think this has fight of the night.
Yeah,
all over
we'll see. You mentioned fight of the night. We have another phenomenal fight that I can't wait to see. This one takes place in the Bantamweight division. Adrian Yanez, who's really been lighting it up since heading into the UFC's Octagon, coming off the Contender Series. 5 fights in. He's got 5 fight bonuses for his troubles. Undefeated inside the UFC. He takes on a veteran in Rob Font. You know, Adrian Yanez has really captivated, I think, the entire world's imagination with his abilities, and that was actually on display at the press conference. Israel Adesanya was actually giving Yanez some big ups, saying that, you know, this guy's going to be a future champion. You know, we'll see if that future is now. Is he going to make this run all the way to the belt right out the gate? We'll find out, but so far, so good. That's got to be pretty flattering for Adrian Yanez to have, you know, Israel Adesanya talking about you when he's also fighting in the main event in the card.
Right, throwing him some credit. I saw him yesterday, actually, at the Fighter Hotel, and I was like, actually, I saw him, like, carrying a huge tray of, like, I thought it was like meats or something. I walked over and it's just like a bunch of fruit, but he looked great, and he said he was feeling great, and he was super excited for this fight. So, I mean, like I said yesterday, I love Adrian, and I think, you know, Rob Font is a great opponent, obviously, but I think this fight is going to be fireworks, and I am excited for it.
Yeah, it's a really fun fight on paper, and again, Adrian Yanez has failed to do anything but impress everybody when he steps in the octagon. And you know, Rob Font, he kind of wants to rain on that parade a little bit. And you know, I just think about the sport. It's always, you know, you're fighting for prizes. You know, you want to try to take that win bonus. Your opponent's standing in your way. But for Rob Font, he's a veteran, and now he's trying to keep the young kid down. And it's like, man, that's tough.
At the same time, protect his legacy. You know, like we were saying yesterday, like, nobody wants to be the gatekeeper, right? So he definitely has a lot to prove in this fight as well. So I think we are in for a treat. This main card is stacked.
It is.
Boy, I'm excited.
100%. You know, going back to Rob Font for a brief moment, what do you think his keys to victory are? Because you mentioned that veteranship that he has. I mean, Yanez has really failed to not shine. I think he's maybe lost 1 round in his entire UFC run. What does Font need to do to make Yanez feel uncomfortable? Does he need to put the pressure on early, or?
You know, I think, like, as a vet going into this fight, right, Rob has so much experience, and I think that sometimes we can see that experience from a vet shine through, right, because they can kind of take that onslaught in the beginning, and they've been there, they've been through the tough fights, they've faced the tough opponents, they've faced the pressure, and, like, they are able to kind of deal with a little bit of adversity and shine through, you know. So I think that as long as he can stay composed and impose his will, not get sucked into Adrian's game plan, you know, do what he's here to do, I think that there's definitely a sure path to victory for him as well. You know, again, I just think it's going to be a great fight.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think you got to, you know, write the name down and at least pencil for both Gilbert Burns and Masvidal and Yanez and Font for that bonus of the night, you know, fight of the night type of check, because it's probably going to go to one of those two fights.
I feel like they're going to be writing out a couple extra bonuses.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You might have to. You might have to. If anything, it lives up to expectations tonight. It's going to be a pretty phenomenal night here in Miami. You already talked a little bit about it. It's you know, Kevin Holland can't stay out of the spotlight if he would try. He takes on Santiago Ponzinibbio. I mean, like we said, Holland's just a guy who likes to stir the pot. is that to say that he's maybe not focusing on the task at hand, which is Ponzinibbio? Like, what do you think when you see him out there, chirping at Masvidal?
I just feel like that's just him, and like if that's him, then that's him. And like if you are being your authentic self, I really don't see Kevin Holland as somebody that's trying to put on a show.
Right. Yeah.
I just don't. I think that that's just who he is, and maybe like trouble finds him, maybe he finds trouble, but I don't think that is to take away from his focus on what he has to do tonight.
Is that a real thing? Does trouble really find people, or do people find trouble?
Who knows?
All right, that's a very cheeky smile. Like, I don't know what that means. Like,
I might try to find some trouble tonight.
Right.
I might bring some trouble your way.
That's not a good idea.
Find some at the Bacardi bar over there. Who knows?
You're trouble.
TJ? Who knows?
You're trouble. You've already experienced some of the concessions here. You got a hot dog. I don't know. What do you do with your hot dog, by the way? Because you put a bunch of stuff on it.
I just put everything they gave me. They gave me 1 packet of mayo, 1 packet of ketchup, 1 packet of mustard. I was like, I might as well just put all these on there. I'm a sauce person.
I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not. I just like plain.
Ew.
Hot dog and bun. It's good. Yeah.
Come on. Your wife does not like. We're not going there.
Nah.
Sorry.
What does my wife have to do with it?
Oh my goodness.
Dang.
No.
I was going to say that I just like the hot dog because it's juicy enough, but I don't want to talk about juicy hot dogs on Extra Rounds.
Got it.
Perfect.
Got it.
She's trouble, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you. Another sort of troublesome opposition for anybody fighting in the bantamweight division is Raul Rosas Jr., the 17-year-old, now 18, fighting inside the UFC's octagon, the youngest guy to get a contract off of the Contender Series. I can't imagine what it's like to be in your second UFC fight, kicking off the main card in Miami.
18.
Yeah, just absolutely crazy.
He's a baby.
Yeah.
He's literally a child.
Yeah.
As we're talking about dry hot dogs.
Yeah, we definitely could not have him on the air and talk about hot dogs. Yeah. No.
No, I would feel oh man. But yes, 18 years old. That is insane. And to be on the main card in Miami, this is a mega card. You know what I'm saying? This is insane. I am excited to see him tonight. I'm very excited to see him make that walk to the octagon, and I really think that he is going to live up to the hype tonight.
At 18 years old, I don't even know if I would let an 18-year-old watch my dog.
Yeah.
Let alone
this is very true.
watch them go out there and have to deal with the burden of fighting in front of millions of people.
I definitely don't think I'd let an 18-year-old watch my son. That's for sure.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
no.
For sure.
No.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he's an adult legally.
That's right.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing though too. We've seen this youth movement through jiu-jitsu and through mixed martial arts, where
Cade?
yeah, they just keep getting younger.
It's nuts.
Younger and younger.
But I mean, again, he has shown He's shown us that he has what it takes, and I'm really excited to see him tonight.
Yeah. I mean, what do they say? Pressure makes diamonds?
Absolutely. That is what they say. I also heard tequila makes diamonds. I heard that from somebody at Grails yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they told me. Fun fact.
Okay.
Didn't know it. Now you guys do.
Were they offering you diamonds if you drank more tequila? Is that what was happening?
I feel like they were just trying to tell me a fact.
Okay.
But, now I'm going to go and tell everybody else, and now everybody that's watching is going to be like, she's a dumbass.
I'll believe anything you say to me, Hannah.
You will?
Yes.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah, tequila makes diamonds, guys.
I mean, it might not be the truth, but if it's the truth to you, then it's gospel.
As long as I say it with a smile.
Right. If you believe it, then it's your truth.
Or I'm like, tequila makes diamonds.
Right. That's
aggressive.
I mean, I'm more likely to believe it then too.
Yeah.
So.
Got it.
Yeah. All right. What else we got going on here? We are just 3 minutes and counting, less than 3 minutes away from the prelims kicking off on UFC Fight Pass. If you're coming down to the show tonight, you can find us out here in the plaza. Come say hello. We're going to be hanging out, watching the fights, and taking in the festivities. But again, all roads lead to a middleweight showdown for the championship of the world, as we see Israel Adesanya look to take his title back against Alex Pereira, and then co-main event Gilbert Burns and Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. It's going to be a fun night here, to say the least, in Miami, and we appreciate you putting in a few more extra rounds as we get closer and closer to the start of the show. We will be back one more time before the main card starts, so join us again, and we'll talk more about other things other than hot dogs and diamonds and stuff.
Cool. Yeah. Like the fights.
Right, yeah. Maybe those two. All right, for Hannah, I'm TJ. It's Extra Rounds here on UFC Fight Pass. We will talk very, very soon. Thanks for watching.